Okay. Welcome, everybody. Hi, happy Monday. My name is Shannon Sarna. I'm editor of the Nosher. So happy to have so many people joining us tonight to learn with Israeli chef, author, cooking instructor, Vered Guttman, who's coming to us from the Washington, D.C. area. And she's going to be showing us 3 different poppy seed dishes tonight, which I'm very excited about. I'm a big poppy seed lover. If you have not learned with Vered before, her columns and articles on Israeli and Jewish food have appeared in Haaretz, Washington Post, Slate, Moment Magazine, NPR, and the Nosher, and many others. She specializes in Israeli and Middle Eastern cuisines, and she has also catered private parties, diplomatic events, and corporate receptions. In 2014, this is such a cool fact, she cooked for President Obama's Passover Seder at the White House. I mean, oh my God, that is an amazing accomplishment and story. I think we would all love to hear at some point. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Vered. As always with our classes, we ask for respectful questions. I will field the chat. So if you have questions, you can add them into the chat. And I will field them to Vered at opportune moments. Please do not raise your hand or try to unmute yourself. I will just put your hand down. That's not how this works. But if I will be happy to field any questions in the chat and share them with Vered. Also, it looks like some people are having some sound problems. Our sound on this end is working okay. Somebody suggested exiting, coming back in, make sure your sound is up, things like that. Could also be your browser. So I will shut up now. Vered, thank you so much for being here with us. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Shannon. That was very sweet of you. And thanks everyone for joining me tonight. Just like Shannon, poppy seeds are one of my favorite ingredients to use. So I'm very excited about the opportunity to teach this class. Then that we're having the poppy seed class around Purim, the immediate connection between poppy seeds and Purim are the hamantashen with a traditional filling, the poppy seed. And history with poppy seeds from Central Europe or from Eastern Europe. There are so many, and cakes that have, half a pound of poppy seeds in them, and strudels, yeast cakes. In Israel, we even have ice cream with poppy seeds, and they sell yogurts, like sweetened yogurt with poppy seeds. It's so good. And in some recipes, like in the United States, you use the poppy seeds as a whole, and some you have to grind them. This brings the flavor and it makes the texture more like a paste, so it's easier to cook. And we're gonna go over all of it in the class, but we're gonna start with a very simple dish near the stove. My husband Nathan is behind the camera, so you will see the camera moving with me. And so thank you, Nathan. And let's go and start preparing the first dish. So you got the packets, I believe, with the recipes. We're gonna start with the noodle dish. It's actually a very traditional dish from Hungary, where you cook egg noodles. I have a very simple egg noodles here. I'm gonna actually cook it right now. I'm gonna put it here in boiling water that I had ready. So let's mix it in, bring it to boil, and cook it for a few minutes. Okay. The dish is very simple, and the traditional dish is calling for egg noodles with oil or butter with either poppy seeds or walnuts, and usually actually with sugar. And this is still, it makes a light dinner or a snack during the day, even though it's a sweet dish. My version is a little different, but you can try the original one too. I'm gonna use some butter, and when I say some, I mean 4 tablespoons of butter in a non-stick pan. And I'm actually gonna put the noodles back into the pan here later, so it's a good thing that it's large enough. You start with that, and when the butter will melt, we're gonna add some garlic and then poppy seed. We're starting from the light to the heavy. We're gonna have only 1 ounce of poppy seed in this case, and we're gonna move to a recipe with 6 ounces of poppy seed soon. And I'm gonna talk about where you can get them, because that's part of the issue. If you're buying it in small spices jars, it's gonna be expensive and hard to get sometimes. Okay, we can already put the garlic in. Garlic that I sliced. Okay, let's talk about, until the garlic is kind of golden, I'm gonna talk about where to get large quantities of poppy seeds. So as I mentioned, Eastern Europeans cook a lot with poppy seeds, and so you can get. Wait, can you still hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you, Vered. All good.
Okay,
yeah,
sorry
sure.
about that. So you can get them at Eastern European supermarkets, like Russian supermarkets, Polish supermarkets, if you have in your area. These are always fun. And if you're in New York or in Brooklyn, then you know Brighton Beach is one of the most fun neighborhoods ever. And you for sure can get that in there. You can buy it in some Eastern Europe, in some Middle Eastern supermarkets. I think, you know, some Persian recipes are using them. For example, the Shirazi salad, which is very similar to the Israeli or the Arab chopped salad of tomatoes and cucumbers. They have poppy seeds in the sauce, in the dressing. And of course, you can get it online or in specialty spices stores. So online, there are websites like nuts.com and others, I can't remember now. And of course, Amazon as always, but compare the prices. The thing with poppy seeds is that they get rancid very quickly. And so don't buy much more than you need at a time. I keep the whole, even if I have it as whole seeds, because we're gonna talk later about grinding them, but even the whole seeds, I prefer to keep in the freezer, and then it keeps for longer. Okay, can you please show this? So the garlic looks as if it's about to be golden. And so at this point, I'm going to add the poppy seeds. Poppy seeds are very healthy for you, so this may seem like a kind of a joke of a recipe, but it's actually not only tasty, but has good nutrients. We're gonna cook that for 1 minute. Basically, yes.
As you're cooking, will you share a little bit about, I'm sure you'll sprinkle this in, but a little bit about the significance of poppy seeds for Purim specifically?
Sure. So it's a good thing that I have only minutes because there's not much more to say. I mean, there are many stories about Queen Esther who maybe ate poppy seeds because she was keeping kosher at the palace of the king, and she could only eat vegan, seeds and maybe poppy seeds and nuts and things like that. This is really nice, but we don't really know that. I think the main connection between Purim and poppy seeds are just the Hamantashen, and I can talk more about Hamantashen in a second. But Hamantashen are started as where do I start the story? It started as Eastern and Central European pastry that's called Taschen or Tashkarl. These are just pastries that are filled with different things. Poppy seed is one of them, but you have povidol, which is the prune jam, or they stuffed with sweet cheese or even with meat. But Jews adopted the poppy seed one to use on Purim because poppy seeds in German and in other European languages is man, M-O-H-N. And man sounds very much like Haman. And also it's the same letters. If you change the M and the H, you get Haman. So there are, later we got rabbis, talking about that. But I think it was just, man, Haman Tashen. There are other dishes that we see in other Jewish communities in the diaspora where the Jews took local dishes and changed them a little and made it their own, like the Easter bread with the hard-boiled eggs in it. If you know that Christian bread, it's, I'm gonna move this here so I can talk. It's bread that Christians are baking for Easter, where the hard-boiled eggs symbolize the cycle of life. And Moroccan Jews are making this bread called Ochos Diaman. It's Sephardi Moroccan Jews, and they where the eggs symbolize Haman's eyes. So again, it's another example where Jews just took an existing dish from their neighbors, adopted it for the holiday that they wanted it for. Easter and Purim are around the same time of the year, and made it significant. So I think we are lucky to have poppy seeds for Purim because of the name man, and because Jews thought it will be nice to have this Haman Tashen as a festive dish. Let's go back here. We have the poppy seeds are definitely toasted. I'm going to add some ground walnuts. I just put the walnuts in a bag and, heat them with a meat tenderizer, or as we call it in Hebrew, schnitzel hammer. And we're going to mix it together too. And cook for another minute. At this point, I'm going to add some salt. And the noodles are definitely ready. So I can just put them here. Let's see. That. You can turn the heat off at this point and just mix everything well. I'm not going to taste it because it's poppy seeds and I'm in the middle of the class. But you want to taste it and check if you need to add some salt. Otherwise, this is our dish. It's pretty beautiful, I think, and it's really, really tasty. To this, we're just gonna add some lemon zest. Okay, and that's it. That's our first dish.
Vered, someone wants to know
Yes.
if you can substitute another kind of nut for the walnuts.
Sure. Yes, you can. You can. Let's move here. You can definitely use almonds, which are very popular in the Hungarian and European cuisine. Hazelnuts, I think, will work really nice. So yeah, I mean, those for sure. If those are helpful, then definitely those will work well. Any other questions?
Somebody wants to know if you were going to make the sweet version, how much sugar would you add and when?
You can add the same way that I added the salt at the end, towards the end. Really start with only 1 to 2 tablespoons of sugar, maybe even just 1, and see how you like it. See if you want it sweeter, add more. But that's more or less. You don't want it extremely sweet. You can also do some sugar and a little bit of salt. It will be tasty.
This dish kind of reminds me a little bit of variations I've seen of egg noodles with cottage cheese, right? My family's also Polish, and we grew up always eating egg noodles with cottage cheese, but some families have it sweet and some savory. What is this?
So it's funny that you mentioned it. I did not grow up, I didn't mention that, but I'm half Ashkenazi and half Iraqi. So I grew up with foods and I grew up in Israel, so I grew up really with food from all over the Jewish diaspora, because that's how Israel is. It's a melting pot. But this dish, the noodles with the cottage cheese, I really think it's some kind of an American Ashkenazi dish. I don't remember anyone. Let me ask my husband here, actually. Do you know about it? No. So I don't think the Ashkenazis who moved to Israel served it. So I assume maybe it was a dish or something similar that they would eat, probably with farmer's cheese then in Europe, but maybe just an American Ashkenazi invention. So I never even tasted it, but I heard it. I heard about it from many people and how good it is. So I'm actually curious now.
I think it was served with like a pot cheese or a farmer's cheese more.
Right, probably.
But there was a couple of questions. I just want to make sure.
Let me just second. I want to turn off the fan here.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
So
I hear you.
If it's sweet, do we omit the garlic?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And
again, you can also do it just with the poppy seeds or just with the nuts. Just with the nuts seems a little boring to me, but you can do the traditional ways actually to do it just with either of them, not together.
And then the last question is, how do you tell when poppy seeds go bad?
You smell it. So I do the outrageous thing, and I actually in the store, I open it and I open, if it's sealed, I'll open it a little bit and smell it. It's very clear when it's rancid. I mean, you will just not going to like the smell. And that's all you need to know. So when that happens, you put your hand in the back and you take the newest one from the back of the store. Yeah, by the way, this is a 6-ounce jar that you get at the Eastern European store. Middle Eastern store, excuse me. Eastern European stores will actually have bags of like 1 or 2, I think it's 1 pound. They really like it, and for a good reason. So let's move to our second recipe. Is that okay?
Sounds great. Thank you, Vered.
Sure. So we're moving up. Okay. We're moving to a more hardcore poppy seed confection. It's a cake, like a loaf cake, that the main ingredients are poppy seeds. I'm gonna have 6 ounces of poppy seeds in the cake. So the poppy seeds basically replace part of the flour. There's not a lot of flour in the cakes, but there's definitely a lot of poppy seeds. But for cakes like that, and for poppy seeds filling for Hamantaschen, for example, you really need to grind the poppy seeds. We're going to do it in a second. I just want to start the cake by whipping the eggs. So I'm breaking 4 eggs, whole eggs, into the bowl of a stand mixer. You can use a regular mixer, of course, too. Okay. I'm gonna start whipping it. And with the mixer running, I'm gonna start pouring the sugar in a steady stream, kind of slowly. Okay. And we're gonna let the mixture do its work for about 5 to 8 minutes or so, until you're gonna see that the egg is really puffed, really rise. It's gonna be a thick, very pale yellow cream. But in the meantime, let's move here. And I hope the noise of the mixer doesn't bother you too much. But I'm gonna show you how to grind the poppy seeds. So poppy seeds are seeds. They're like these little seeds. Well, there's no way you can see it with the quality of the camera here. But when you want to make them into a paste or a cake, when you grind them, they'll be able to absorb liquid and to release also their fat and flavor. So a few ways to do it. The best way is actually with a coffee grinder or spice grinder, those electric small ones. You're gonna have to do it in a few batches, but that will work well. And you will see also with this Vitamix that I'm going to use, that the poppy seed will become very dark black, and their volume will rise because they grind. That I'm using a blender, a Vitamix blender, which works well, but any strong blender will also work well. And really, I mean, if you really want to try poppy seeds, like the real poppy seeds, and make the real deal Hamantaschen with poppy seeds, I think those coffee grinders are pretty cheap. I mean, they're around $20 or something. And you can use them for many other things too. Okay, let's move here to just grind it. Matoki, can you show, I don't know how much you can see, but just look at the poppy seeds themselves. And you're gonna see that the color is getting darker. Okay, it's already darker and pretty much, oopsie, pretty much grinded, but sometimes it gets stuck on the side, so I want to release the poppy seeds from the side and just grind it again. In Israel, especially around Purim, you have grocery stores and supermarkets. They're grinding it for you, which is much easier, of course. Okay. Okay, look how dark, what dark color it is. I'm gonna show you. Let's look at it in here. It's a very dark color. And I'm gonna actually also, okay, another part of the cake are these apples. So I'm just gonna slice them. This is pretty much ready, so we can stop the noise. You peel 2 apples, and I'm gonna slice them, cut them to like 1/4 inch cubes, so pretty small, like this. Do you have any questions for now as I cut the apples?
Somebody wants to know what kind of apples.
I think these were Fuji apples. It doesn't really matter. It does not need to be Granny Smith in this case. Sweet apples are fine. So basically any kind you like.
Can you use a food processor to grind the poppy seeds?
I did not manage to do that. It just was not enough to grind them.
I would assume if you don't have like a Vitamix, like maybe if you have a spice grinder or a coffee grinder, that might work, right?
Oh yeah. I said that specifically. Actually, coffee grinder is the best option, or spice grinder. Yeah. I think in simpler days, people use mortar and pestle to really grind them, but that's a lot of work, and probably worth it, but I'm not sure you want to go there. Okay, let's go back to the cake. So if you look at here, you can see that the eggs are very, very thick and much higher than they were a few minutes ago. Let's give them another minute. Okay, actually, can you show here? I have here a cup of flour, and I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a little bit of salt. And I'll mix this and just keep it here for a second. Okay. So to the whipped eggs, I'm gonna add what is this? I'm gonna add some melted butter. Okay. And now I'm going to remove this from the mixer. Okay. And we're gonna fold the rest of the ingredients in. Maybe let's move here. It might work better. Just a second. Okay. So we have the poppy seeds. Put them all in. got stuck a little bit at the bottom, so let me get the spoon. Look at how dark this is. And that's a lot of poppy seeds. Now, if you grind the poppy seed, as I said earlier, ground poppy seeds really get rancid very quickly. So if you have any leftovers of that, what you want to do is to freeze them. You can even add a little bit of sugar to them and freeze them in a freezer bag, and then they will keep for a long time. But it's really within a day they may get rancid. Okay, I just added applesauce and I'm folding it, some vanilla extract, and then the flour. Fold it too. And as the last step, just want to make sure it's all mixed in. I'm going to add the apples, and we're going to transfer it to the loaf pans. Let's mix it.
Hey, Vered, we're getting a bunch of questions about why you grind them, and someone asked if you would ever boil them instead of grinding them.
We're gonna talk about boiling them very soon, but I have to grind them in order for them to become more pasty, and then they can absorb the liquids in the cake. It's crucial when we make poppy seeds filling or babka filling or cakes filling with poppy seeds, like those, the thing you can get here sometimes in cans. That's when you really need it to be grinded. So it's another texture altogether, but it really releases their oil. The texture of the cake will be completely different if you don't. I mean, it may be tasty, but I don't think you will use so many poppy seeds, that much poppy seeds in a cake, if they were not ground. It will not feel good in your mouth. Just a second, sorry. And so in the next recipe, we're going to boil the poppy seeds, but that will also happen only after we grind them. So I sprayed 2 loaf pans with oil, and I'm just going to divide the butter between them.
Those are some nice pans, Vered. What pans are those?
I just got them this week. So this is, what pans are those? Is it maybe Calphalon? I don't even remember. I just know that turns out I actually never had the standard size loaf pans, which is the 4.5 inches by 8.5 inches. I only had one much bigger, and this is better for my testing. So this goes to the oven right now.
I'm so jealous. I love poppy seed cakes, but my husband hates poppy seed.
Oh, really? No, but you will convert him this way. I mean, this is just wrong. It's so good. And by the way, the cake is really good straight from the fridge. I mean, you can eat it today when it comes out of the oven, which reminds me to put a timer. But you can also, you know, as with many loaf cakes, it will taste better the next day. And it's really, really good from the fridge. It's so moist. It just, I don't know if you, I mean, if you had poppy seed cakes in the past in Israel, then you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, you have to try because it's really good.
Vered, we had two questions I wanted to make sure I threw
Yes.
to you.
Yes, I'm listening.
Could you, instead of a loaf pan, could you do this cake in a bundt pan? And then the other question is, could you, how you would suggest converting the recipe so it's parv?
Good questions. I'm not sure about the bundt pan because I'm not sure how well it will release from the pan. Then I would suggest that just doing it in a you know, in a regular springform pan. I'm not sure what size for these. There are all these conversion tables online, like what if you take two regular size loaf pans, how much? I'm sure you can find this online, or we can also find out and send it tomorrow with a packet. So it can definitely work with a regular springform pan. It may work with a bundt pan. I'm just afraid that, you know, I don't know if it will be released from the pan well enough. What was the second question?
The second question is how you would suggest making this recipe parv?
Oh, what did we have here? There's no problem doing it with oil. That's for sure. Was there anything else that was not parv?
I don't think so.
I can't remember. I think that's it. So we didn't have milk or something, right? So yeah, just use oil, perfectly fine.
Great.
Okay.
Last question was actually about using the canned poppy seed filling.
No, the answer is no.
Great.
Do I need to elaborate or
no?
It's these are okay. It's just that I don't know what they're doing there. I'm not talking about how gooey and it's very bitter. It's just very bitter. It's hard to eat. So it's not the same thing. It's I don't know what to compare it to, but it's taking the taste of heaven and then comparing it to bitter canned poppies. It's just not the same. It's really worth the effort, I'm telling you. It just, for me, it's one of my favorite things. So let's move back to the stove, and the next recipe is a recipe for rolled cookies. So it's like a mini roulade filled with cooked poppy seeds that we mentioned earlier, and the poppy seeds are already ground. So, and what I will cook now, the filling for the cookies, it's actually the same filling that you make for hamantashen. So you can use it for hamantashen if you're making them in the coming week. Let's move this here. And so the way you do it is, first of all, you're grinding the poppy seeds the same way I showed you earlier. And for me, really, when the season comes, I grind a lot and I keep it in the freezer, and it's fine. So I'm putting milk and sugar over medium heat, and poppy seeds too. So this is 3 ounces, I think. Here to that. Okay, we're gonna bring this to boil. Oh, use this. Bring it to boil.
Vered, if you wanted to make a homemade hamantashen with, a homemade Hamantash and filling, would you use this the same spread that you're making now for the cookies?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
You can use exactly this one. You can add a little bit of chocolate to it, like, yeah, but something like, just a little bit, just like 1 ounce. And yeah, you can use instead of the ground almonds that I'm going to use, you can also use ground cookies. So, just any cookies, just crush them or grind them and add them to thicken it a little bit. But yes, I use this very same recipe for Hamantaschen. Another thing you can add is, and that will be a very Polish thing of you, very Ashkenazi, is to add raisins also. So and that's
We had
really
a couple of
delicious together.
questions about what you put into the pot. Were the poppy seeds that you put in just now, were they ground or they were just normal?
They
poppy?
were ground, yeah.
They were ground.
They were ground, yes. For when you cook poppy seeds, they have to be ground. Okay, let's show the pot here. It's gonna boil now, and we're gonna let it cook for about 5 minutes, and it will get much thicker in those 5 minutes. Okay, when it boils so much, I'm going to reduce the heat now, and just let it simmer. Okay, I need to move this to another burner. Here, sorry. Okay. We're gonna let it simmer on low temperature, on low heat, until it thickens, and I'll just mix it every once in a while. In the meantime, we can actually go here and start making the dough for the cookies. So for that, it's like a crumbly dough, and I'm going to add to do it in the food processor, but you can also do it with your hands in a large bowl and just crumble everything together. Okay, I'm sorry. So I have the flour here and powdered sugar, a little bit of baking powder, and a little bit of salt. And to that, I'm going to add some butter. And the butter is cold, and I took it out of the fridge just now. And I'm going to cut it into 1 tablespoon pieces. And add it like that. So just like you make a quiche or tart dough. Second. Okay. So now I'm going to pulse this a couple of times until it just crumbs. And at this point, I'm going to add 1 egg and 1 egg yolk. Um, And we're gonna let the food processor run until we see that the dough is started to form. If it's too dry, I'm gonna add a little bit, but really little water. So let it run. Okay, the dough is starting to form. You can see that it's thicker at the bottom. I'm gonna add just like a teaspoon. Okay, this is fine. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And I want to go back. Just want to check the poppy seeds for a second. Still cooking. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you again when it's ready. But we can still cook it for a couple more minutes. So with the dough, I'm gonna just pour it all into a bowl here. Oopsie. And just use my hands for a second to form it into dough. This is such a nice dough. Actually, this is not exactly the dough I'm using for hamantaschen, but I think it should work really well for hamantaschen. So basically just make this recipe and just use this dough to make the circles and fold it into hamantaschen. So the dough is very tender. So what I'll do is I'm going to put it in the fridge for about half an hour. You need to wrap it. I'm not going to do it here. Ideally, you will even divide it into 3 and wrap each piece with plastic, put it in the fridge for half an hour and continue then. So let's do that. I hope you didn't see anything. Let's move back to the poppy seeds. Okay. So look how dark and thick it is. It's gonna be thicker when we move it from, after it cools down, after we move it from the stove. So at this point, I'm gonna add a little bit of butter.
Hey, Vered, if you're speaking, we can't hear you right now. We lost sound. I still lost sound. No. Do you want to, I don't see it. I don't see you muted. So I know somebody said poor Natan. Poor Vered. What do you mean poor Natan? Let's just give Vered a one moment. She's gonna come back in. She did add, hold on, you can see my face for a moment. She added either ground nuts or ground cookies. She said you can use any kind of cookie, but I think she means specifically like like a biscuit cookie. All right, let's let Vered back in and see if we can get our sound working again. All right, here we go. All right, Vered, your sound now is muted. And you are on the side. Let me see if, yes, now you're unmuted, but I still can't hear you. Let me see, I'm gonna press mute and then unmute you. All right. No, I still can't hear you. I'm so sorry, Barrett. This is so frustrating. I'm so sorry for you. All right, let's try. Thank you guys for your patience. Just bear with us 1 second. No Zoom is ever perfect. Now she's right side up. That's good. We can sing Purim songs. That's nice. My 2-year-old came home singing Hamantashen song. I still can't hear you. Is your headset still attached? Maybe if we turn the Bluetooth off, maybe that will help, and we'll just use the microphone on your laptop or your phone. Okay, she'll be back. All right, just bear with us. Thank you guys for coming. Hopefully we'll get Vered back on in a minute. Just as a reminder, because I knew we had a couple of questions about this. We will send out the recording from the video for this. And all of the recipes are already on the nosher.com. They also should have been in the email that you received with the Zoom link for this. So hope you will share any photos of things that you make. I want to make all of these recipes. They look so good. And I think Vered has inspired me to make the poppy seed filling for the first time. I hear what she's saying, that it's, sweeter and a little less bitter if you make it yourself. All right, let's see if we can get this to work one last time. Poor Vered. She is amazing. She's such a great teacher. Okay, let's see now. All right, I'm asking you to unmute. I'm making you co-host. I still can't hear you. Vered, maybe you want to show the last bit of rolling the cookies. Oh, poor Vered. All right, we'll if you want to hang on tight, we'll see if we can get her back on. I see some questions coming in. Okay, Marlene, great question. No, the poppy seeds did not get ground for the noodle dish. She put them right in and sort of toasted them with the walnuts in the butter, and then added the noodles to that. So that was the only recipe that didn't call for grinding the poppy seeds. I'm doing my best to try and answer your questions. Somebody suggested trying to log out and log back in, but you did exit. That's better. Now we can see you. It could also be adding the audio in a different way. Nancy suggests also checking your sound settings. These are great suggestions. Thank you guys so much. Not allowing you to unmute. hold on, let me see if I can. Can you try to speak now? No, I don't think it's the muting issue. I think it must be your sound settings. I think, or Bluetooth, or no. Oh, I'm so sorry, Vered. I'm so sorry. This is such a great class. I think that we should probably wrap up for now. And what we can do is see if there's another way for us to record Vered just rolling the cookies. Or Vered, if you want to show us quickly. Let's see, can I make co-host? Let's see if I can, I don't know. Let's see. Make co-host. Let me try one more time and ask to unmute. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us as we try and problem solve this. All right. Yeah, we can see you. Absolutely. So Vered, maybe you can show the last step of rolling the cookies, and at least everyone can have that visual to go along with the recipe. Great. All right. So I'm gonna do my best we're gonna do an interpretive cookie dance. It looks like Vered's going to roll the dough in between two pieces of parchment. Yes, I'll be happy to, oh, there's the dough that she chilled already, the magic of TV, or not really. Somebody asked for the recipes once more. Here is the recipe for the cookies that she's making right now. I have spotlighted Vered, so if you can't see her on your main screen, you should change your view settings to speaker. Yep. Okay, here we go. So just make sure she should be speaker now. No, yes, she's spotlighted. Great. You're just hearing my annoying voice instead. All right, as you can see, she had her chilled dough in the recipe that I shared in the chat, and she's rolling it in between two pieces of parchment. Why is she rolling it in two pieces of parchment? Because then it won't stick, right, to the counter, and she doesn't have to add a bunch of flour or anything else to roll it out. Somebody's asking for the site address. Our site is called the Nosher. So if you go to www.thenosher.com, that is our website, and you can find all of Vered's delicious looking recipes there. As a reminder, if you have a question, please feel free to put it into the chat. Great tip, can you also use wax paper? Hold on, I'm going to try and see if I can. All right, Vered has the dough that's been rolled out now, and now she's going to spread the poppy seed filling, I think. Oh, look at that. I'm assuming that this is the spread that Vered had cooked earlier, and now it's cooled and it's turned into more, like, it's thickened. Annette knows. Thank you, Annette. She chilled it for an hour. She read the recipe. Annette, you're hired. All right, watch what Vera is doing. Look at this. Oh, look at that. And she's doing it with the parchment paper. I love this trick. Tamara, thank you for the tip. She is unmuted. She's not muted. And she's a co-host. But thank you, I appreciate it. If anybody else has any suggestions of what they think it might be for Vered and Atan or myself, please, I'm open to them. So you can see she used the parchment to roll the whole thing up. That is just amazing. All right. Look, Erin says it looks beautiful. It does look beautiful. So now she's going to make slices into them, but I assume she's not slicing all the way down. She's slicing almost all the way down, and she's going to bake it like that. And the reason that she's doing that is that when it comes out of the oven later, she'll be able to cut them into these perfect little swirled slices. And now she's chilling them again. Oh, so interesting. Vered, I'm sorry that we're missing the rest of this commentary. I would be curious to know why you chill them again, and how. I don't know. We're all crying because everyone was felling over what a fantastic class this was. So we're going to. Oh my God!
Can you hear me now, maybe?
Yes.
אז לא, אם זה אמור להיות משם.
לא, זה אמור להיות מכאן.
אני לא שומעת.
את לא תשמעי אותם, אבל...
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
למה אני לא אשמע אותם?
כי נתקתי לך אוזניה וחיברת את הטלפון.
טוב, אני לא יודעת מה קורה, אני עכשיו לא שומעת אותם. You can hear me. Oh, but I cannot hear you.
Oh my God.
So if you want to ask anything, I'm so sorry about this. I have no idea what happened. If you want to ask anything, write it in the chat and my husband will read it to me. Is that okay? Can you see the chat? So let me explain what I just did. Besides for almost fainting here. I made the dough, if you remember. I think we were still talking back then. Then I had to put it in the fridge for half an hour. After the filling that we made, you see it's already very thick, but you need to let it cool down completely, otherwise it will soften the dough too much. So you put that in the fridge also. Luckily, I made some earlier today, so I had that. That was in the fridge for a few hours already. And I also had dough that I put in the fridge earlier, so I could use it during the class. The benefit of this kind of annoying process is that you get a very delicate, really, really tasty, crumbly, so tender cookie. And so as you saw, I was rolling the dough between the two parchment papers. Actually, just like Shannon said, it helps me not add more flour to the pastry, so it is as delicate as can be. And I actually started making hamantash in the same way. I also roll it between the two parchment papers, and it's easier. It's really easy to work this way. So let's see, are there any questions, my husband?
Are there cooked cakes or cookies that you can show?
Oh, I'm sorry, no, I do not have cooked cakes or cookies, except for in your packet where you can see the photos.
How many cookies do you have?
I think, I don't remember exactly, around 40 maybe, but that information should be in your packets also.
How thick was the dough when finishing rolling?
About an 1/8 of an inch. 20 years in the United States, I still don't understand the inches thing.
Did you put in ground almonds or cookie ground?
I put ground almonds, but the cookies didn't work. More questions?
That's it, Meanwhile.
That's it.
How much if you use the dough for hamantaschen? How much filling per hamantaschen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to send you then to my website. It's just veredguttman.com, and there are many different recipes for hamantaschen there. So you will have the exact amount. I don't think you do exactly the same amount, but it doesn't matter. It's still the same recipe. So.
Why do you refrigerate the cookies before baking?
The dough is very, I mean, if you ever made quiche, you know that you need to, and it's a tart, European tart, it's kind of the same type of dough. You want to keep it cold. You use the cold butter to make it, then you want to keep it cold. When you put it in the oven, it will keep the shape better this way. So if I just put it right now, it will be fine, but the cookies will be more flattened.
Orange zest instead of lemon zest?
Definitely you can do orange zest instead of lemon zest.
What is your website?
What's my website? So as I said, it's veredguttman.com. Yeah, probably someone wrote the question before. And I understand that's the end of the questions. Shannon, if you want to say a good night thing, I will not be able to hear you, I think, but
I'll do it very dramatically so you can see me.
I can see you're doing things, so I assume that's a goodbye.
This was even with our sound issues, this was such a great class.
Oh, I can hear you. So
I better say nice things then. Vered, thank you so much. Somebody said this was the most exciting class we've ever hosted, and I can't disagree with that. This was such a great class. I learned so much, and there were so many comments just felling about what a great class this was. So thank you so much. Don't sweat the sound. Thank you guys so much for coming and sharing these recipes with us. And if you make the recipes, email us or tag us on Instagram, tag Vered on Facebook. We'd love to see when you guys are making our beautiful recipes. Wishing everybody a really delicious and joy-filled Purim, and we will be back next month with some Passover classes that will be announced soon. So Vered, thank you so much, and good night to everybody. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.